We'll just try again. I don't actually know what Hardy gets us. I think it's Pikachu. It's not a very useful Pokemon, I know that much. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. That's a good question. Okay, this is a good start. This is probably yes, okay, we got it. Yo, Mike, doing good, thank you. How are you? So this'll get us Skitty. Skitty, you'll see soon enough why it's incredibly broken, but Skitty is just an incredibly broken Pokemon to use. Squirtle is really good to have early on. After that, it doesn't really matter what our second Pokemon is, but early on, Squirtle is pretty good. So we're gonna use that for as our partner Pokemon here. So we get ourselves our opening cutscene. Now, for those that don't know Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, essentially what happens is we wake up one day and we've turned into a Pokemon, specifically a Skitty. And we meet this Squirtle who found us unconscious, and he's all weirded out, and we tell him our name, and he's like, that's a funny name, and he starts laughing because that's a really unusual name. Whatever even if you name it Skitty, that's still gonna count as an unusual name. But anyway, after some brief introductions, this Butterfree shows up and tells us that her baby fell into this chasm, and so we get to do our first dungeon. Okay, that's a good start, actually, but first menu. We're gonna set that, we're gonna turn that, oh, nope, turn that off. Game options, fast, far off pals to self, I think that's it. And then we're gonna do some IQ checking, gonna change that over and then move on. So, at the start you may have noticed I gave both my Skitty and Squirtle a one-character name. That's just because those names display faster, which saves us just tiny little bits of time. Tackle pretty much one-shots everything in this dungeon, so we don't really have anything to worry about. Just gotta try and get through this as fast as I can. And there we go, that's Tiny Woods. That's a decent Tiny Woods time. Anything under 3 minutes for Tiny Woods I'll consider pretty okay. We get ourselves a Squirtle, and with that we get our reward from the Butterfree. She's gonna give us a bunch of berries, which is kind of nice. We don't really need the berries, but they're nice to get. We get, I think, like an Oron, Pecha, and Raspberry. Especially the Oron berry can be kind of convenient. So the dungeons that we go through, they're all randomly generated. Every floor is randomly generated. Every monster that spawns is randomly generated. Just about everything is randomly generated. And with this particular category, it's just our goal to just hope for the best, honestly. There is a way to manipulate them, and that's kind of my backup in case things go very, very poorly, but I hope I don't have to resort to that. But you can actually RNG manipulate them. It's just this category doesn't allow for it. Yo, Polister, thank you. So the category is called any percent no Wondermail, no quick save. WM is Wondermail, which is a method that allows us to basically code in missions, which is pretty broken. QS is quick save, which is the thing you would need to do to RNG manipulate. Okay, so we get we've now formed a rescue team. In the world of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, a lot of natural disasters have been happening, and because of that, a lot of Pokemon have been in trouble. So rescue teams have started to form to kind of help Pokemon out. And we just, I mean, we don't really, we're still a skitty, we don't really have anything better to do anyway, so we're just gonna form a rescue team. We wake up, and we pretty much go back to bed because we're still tired, and then after we walk out, we find Squirtle, who fell asleep in front of the door. There's no job offers yet, though, but, I mean, that kind of makes sense considering we've only just formed the rescue team. In our mailbox, though, is our rescue team starter kit, with a badge, a toolbox, and an issue of the Pokemon News. Especially the toolbox is kind of useful, the other two are not really relevant. We check our mailbox again, nothing in there. Which makes sense, nobody's ever heard of us, we've only just formed the rescue team. But then Pelipper shows up. Pelipper is like the mailman in this game. Pelipers go around to deliver the mail, and they've just... oh, we just got a letter with a rescue mission. For a Magnemite who got stuck in Thunderwave Cave. So that's just what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to grab an Oran Berry or two, maybe an apple if we can. Gravel or rock. We're not gonna go out of our way for it, but those are items that we could pick up if they happen to be close to us. Okay, level up here. Kind of convenient. We kind of want level 7, but it's not too big a deal if we don't get it. I'm having Squirtle pick up all the items because if Skitty picks them up, it'll actually result in an extra text box, and that's a little bit slow. It doesn't waste too much time, but it is a tiny bit slow, so we kind of don't want that. Okay, so level 7 here. We're getting a little bit unlucky with our floors right now. Usually we want, I mean, ideally we want to spawn on the stairs. But we've had several floors now where the stairs were about as far away as they could be. And that's a little unlucky when that happens. Usually okay, I saw the stairs there. Usually we refer to those kind of floors as anti-stair floors, meaning the stairs being in the last room that I happen to check. And that's just luck whether we get it, or whether we start near the stairs or start very far away from it. Anyway, we get a few items. And with that, we have completed our second mission. The way the game plays out is we're going to do some early missions. Like the first few missions are all going to be pretty straightforward, pretty easy missions. And as time progresses, they're going to get more and more difficult. But first things first, we now get our first filler mission. And that's another key element, really, about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon speedrunning. There are several moments in the game where we just have to have a certain number of missions done before the story progresses. Today is one of such days. We need to do a total of, I believe, 5 missions. Now, we're going to get 5 missions. We're going to do 2. We need to get a total of 5 missions to progress the story here. We get to see all the shops. Squirtle's gonna give us a tour of the town. Most of these aren't too important for us. There are two, however, that we'll be making use of. The Gulpin shop. There's only going to be a few moments in the game where we will. And then the Kecleon shop, which is mostly for buying items. Kecleon just sells a bunch of items. Which items he sells is random, but ideally we want to see Reviver Seeds. That's an item that'll instantly restore my health. Okay, we got pretty decent missions there. These are not the best options, but they're definitely not bad. And with that, we're just going to move out. Open up all of those missions, and we're going to go to Tiny Woods, do the 2 missions there. So ideally, we want to get those Reviver Seeds that I mentioned as our reward here as well. They instantly revive me if I were to die at any point in the game, which would save us a lot of trouble. Another item that would be really useful for us are Max Elixirs, which is an item that restores all my power points for all of my moves instantly. Those are kind of the things that we're looking out for right now. About to say, I thought I saw it. We save the Wurmple here. And with that, we can get out. That was a good Tiny Woods. That was a good mission. We get a Graveler Rock. That's not too useful. Yeah, no, these are not very useful rewards. They're not terrible, but they're not great. We get ourselves another dream. These dreams are going to be a common theme throughout the game. Initially, it just seems as if we're hearing somebody talk, but we can't really make out what they're saying. But then we wake up from an earthquake, and it turns out that there's this Dug Trio causing some trouble here. So initially he's like, how very rude of us that we were talking but we couldn't see him. So he decides to just bury right through my floor. Because that's definitely very nice of him. Anyway, we go outside, we see Squirtle, and if that gap in the middle of our floor wasn't enough, he's also going to make one in our front yard. Very cool guy. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here. And we're going to just instantly go to Mount Steel. This saves a little bit of time if things go well, but it could also, we are risking a bit of a time loss because I didn't link my moves this time. So I'm actually going to switch that off. We're just going to kind of hope for the best. Normally I would link Tail Whip and Tackle here to make sure that I can do a little bit more damage, and I would have linked some moves from Squirtle as well. But we're gonna play a little bit risky and just pretend we don't need it. Okay, you know what? Okay, that crit kind of mattered. That fight was going really poorly. Okay, this is a bad situation. This is kind of why I said it was risky. So we've just lost our Reviver Seed, which is our one safety net, basically. Okay, so I'm gonna set these and then throw a Graveler Rock. Use those to deal a little bit of extra damage. Escape Orbs are nice to have. Oh. Get on the stairs. Escape Orbs can be nice to have. We're just gonna bring that along. That was... I kind of expected that to be a Blast Seed, but I was kind of hoping for a Reviver. Revivers are... You basically don't see them around here, though. So it wasn't going to be very likely, but it was worth a shot. Okay, floor 7. This could be really bad. Okay, that worked out. If that Graveler Rock had been thrown my way, and would have hit the Skitty, Skitty would have died and we would have lost the mission. So that could have gone very poorly, very quickly there. Luckily it didn't. Okay, I think that was a good call to switch the two there. Okay, time for the boss fight. And the boss right here, this is Skarmory. Skarmory it's not a difficult fight usually, but again, we don't have our safety item, so that could potentially be a little bit of an issue. And after the fight, I'm going to quickly let my cat back inside because she's scratching the door, and that's a thing. Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely a good idea there, Chimo. Good idea. Thanks for the good luck, dude. Appreciate it. Okay, there we go. So the Magnemites come to our rescue here, and they're going to be saving this this Diglett. Also, this is where, you know, it's canonically confirmed Diglett has feet. Don't know if you knew, but it's confirmed right here. So the Dugtrio shows up as well, and we're going to get our rewards, and this is mostly, like, this is the point where we get quite a bit of money, honestly, and that's really going to be useful for this next part. We are, however, before we move on, going to be going to the shop. We're going to sell some stuff. We're going to buy some more stuff. You know, make sure we actually have everything. Because I'm really going to be hoping here that Kecleon is going to be selling a Reviver Seed. We could really use a Reviver Seed right now. But But first we get another dream sequence here, and this is I believe this is the first one where we're gonna kind of be able to make out what Pokemon's talking about it. We hear some words, but we don't really know what she's saying. So we get a bunch of debate about, you know, why we're Pokemon, what we think are the reason is, and we're kind of just not sure. And so we go to Pokemon Square, because this is the point where we're going to try to get more Pokemon team, or more rescue team members. Sell that. That's not really worth it. I should have just trashed it, honestly. Okay, so I'm hoping for some revivers. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I'm going to link those. We're going to be linking these. So the link moves are probably one of the most powerful things that we can do in this game. Basically, by having a move linked, we are allowed to do... essentially, we do multiple moves in the same turn. So, because of that, right now, Skitty will use Tail Whip, then Tackle, all in the same turn, and Squirtle will even use 3 moves in the same turn. And that's going to be tremendously helpful for beating a lot of enemies later on. Because we're trying to go through those dungeons as fast as we can, we're not actually picking up a whole lot of levels, so we're just gonna kind of have to hope that this'll do. This kind of helps compensate for things, though. The Wigglytuff explains all about friend areas. That's not a thing that's going to be very relevant for this run. There is, however, a very cool speedrun category. It's called Recruit Them All. And in Recruit Them All, those are kind of a big deal. But unfortunately, Recruit Them All is a little bit too long for a stream like this. Usually those runs take like multiple days to do. They're really fun, though. Anyway, we get to the square, and we see a Jumpluff asking the Shiftry for help. But Shiftry is really only in it for the money, so initially he rejects, until Alakazam shows up. Alakazam's team is basically the most powerful team out there, which consists of the Alakazam, which is supposedly incredibly smart. We have Charizard, whose flames can melt mountains, and Tyranitar, who there's something about Tyranitar as well. And then Alakazam, who supposedly has an IQ of 5,000. Something along those lines. This is a really powerful team. And Alakazam notices immediately that something's off about us. He's just gonna ignore it for now, though. Okay, time to head out again. I do believe this counts as a new day, so I'm gonna quickly check the Kecleon shop because we're incredibly short on items. Normally I just go to Thunderwave Cave right now, but I was not disappointed. Definitely no regrets there. Okay, so we've got 3 missions here in Thunderwave Cave. Floor 3, 4, and 5 will have a rescue mission that we need to do. Just gonna try to do those quick as we can. You'll see now basically that because we can do the combination of tail whip and tackle, we just deal a bit more damage. I'm gonna get rid of withdraw. The reason for Squirtle that bubble is the last move is if there's two Pokemon back to back, then the bubble will usually go past the first Pokemon since it already will have been defeated, and it can actually hit the Pokemon after that. So this is our first rescue floor. And right here, this Pidgey is our target. One mission done, 2 more to go. I'd like to move on right now, but because we still have a client on this floor, we need to make sure that we get there first. Since we have some friend areas, some Pokemon have a chance of asking me to join, the team, but we're gonna pretty much just say no to everyone because it's slow. Interestingly enough, in Rescue Team DX, it's actually worth it, but in this one, it just isn't. Sign of our target yet. There he is. And we're out again. Okay, so we're gonna get a bunch of rewards from all of these missions. Okay, 100 Poke, that's not terrible. Not great, but not bad either. Max Elixirs are really useful. Reviver Seed, that's really good. So we're up to 3 Revivers now. The Gravel or Rock I don't care about. The Max Elixir that we got is nice though. Not terrible. That was definitely not bad. So now that we're actually really good on Reviver Seeds, we're gonna move out and we get to meet one of the, pretty much the evil boyos in this game. This is Team Meanie. Team Meanie consists of Gengar, Medicham, and Ekans. And they're gonna steal all of our missions. They're a rescue team too. But they've got eyes on world domination instead. They're just in it for money and power. And they stole all of our missions. Lucky for us, after that, Pelipper drops by and delivers new missions for us, so we don't really have to bother with it. Yeah, that's Team Meanie. We got the mission there that I need later. And for Tiny Woods, 2 missions here, and these 2 are the ones we need in order to progress the story again. So there's one on floor 2, one on floor 3. Can do them fast, then we should actually, because time-wise we're actually doing pretty good so far, by my standards. If these missions can be done pretty quickly, then that would be kind of cool. Can't leave quite yet. Okay, one more mission here. I already know that this is going to be a Sun Kern. Yo, Mies. Thanks for the good luck, dude. Okay, here we go. We get the Sun Kern. And with that, we can move on. Lost a little bit of time compared to my personal best here, but I'm actually still ahead of my personal best, so that's kind of cool. I'm about a minute and a half ahead right now, which says absolutely nothing in this game, but it's still kind of cool. Okay, we get another Reviver Seed. That's really good. We want as many of those as possible. Max Elixirs, very worth it. All in all, these were some pretty good missions. How's it going so far? So far, pretty good, pretty good. I'm a minute and a half ahead of PB. We've got a lot of safety items right now, which doesn't actually say a lot because you can lose a lot of them in a single floor if things go poorly, but all in all, not a bad start. So Caterpie here, he comes towards us and because his friend Metapod is missing. And then Team Meanie shows up and it's like, yeah, we're gonna do that. And well, they're gonna try to take over this mission. And then Caterpie's like, but I don't have any money. So Gengar instead comes up with the idea that if they rescue Metapod, Caterpie has to join their rescue team. And before Caterpie even has a chance to say no, they already run off. How many? Okay, we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of that. Gonna get rid of that. That should just about do. Yeah, I figured I might as well. I just took your layout. I mean, I didn't really have the time this week to make my own. And, you know, beter goed gestolen dan slecht verzonnen of zoiets, right? Nah, that's not exactly how the saying goes, but... How does it go again? Beter goed gejat dan slecht bedacht? Something like that. You know what I mean. Okay, so this is a really bad second floor so far. Yeah, that one. You got me. That's what I was going for. Okay, I'm gonna let Squirtle take care of that. Bubble will kill the Sudowoodo, and that way I don't have it chasing me at least. Oh. Oh, come on, really? This dungeon's not been great so far. That doesn't have to say anything, but this is like Sinister Woods usually is one of the first dungeons that gets pretty intense. It's a relatively lengthy dungeon compared to all of the dungeons we've done up to this point. There's quite a few enemies that can do a good amount of damage. We don't really have access to our broken moves yet, so there's just a lot of little things that can go wrong. Not to mention it just has pretty long floors in general, which isn't great. Gonna let Squirtle take care of as many things as possible. Ah, right. Should have probably looked down. Whatever. It's 3.5 hours. And I indeed didn't put that in the layout. Should be around the 3.5. Can I actually hit? We actually have to do an extra fight now because of that. So you just saw a message pop up that said that I was getting hungry. And it's actually the first time that that's happened in this run, but it's something you'll see a lot over the course of this game. There's a mechanic in this game, which is the hunger mechanic. And basically, how that works is as we walk, we eventually our hunger is going to go down. Our belly is going to go down, which is basically just a value between 0 or that goes from 0 to I think it's 100. And at 0, we will be taking 1 HP damage every step we take because of being hungry. So over the course of the run, we actually have to pay attention to that to make sure that we don't starve, basically. Squirtle is almost out of power points. That's kind of a thing. Need to keep an eye on that. If we get any of our moves to 0 power points, the moves will unlink, and that would be a really bad thing for us. But we're also getting quite close to the end, so I'm going to try not to have to use a max elixir, though I'll probably have to use a max elixir soon. We did make it to the end, though. Now, the problem is that Squirtle isn't going to be able to do a lot of attacks without that becoming an issue. I'm gonna throw a gravel rock there. I meant to use that on... Okay, that's on me. I was supposed to use that on... Okay, do it like that. I was actually supposed to use that max elixir on Squirtle. At least that's what I aimed for. Yeah, that was to be expected. We got through it. I'm gonna have to do an extra visit to town, but we got through it. After taking care of Team Meanie, we end up rescuing the Metapod. And with that, we're gonna go back home. Now, earlier, the Caterpie already mentioned, Caterpie doesn't exactly have any money, so he can't pay me. So, you know, it is what it is. But Squirrel comes up with a good idea. How about, at some point, we're going to make our current place into a proper rescue base. And Caterpie and Metapod can help out with the reconstruction. They all agree, and so, you know, it's all good fun. So I definitely have to go into town here. We lost quite a bit, actually. That's not useful. We'll have 3 revivers, which is pretty good, and our money is looking decent as well. I have enough money to buy at least 1 more reviver, which at least is something. I'd have liked more, but I can make it work. Now the morning after, however, that jump love that we saw before comes towards us and tells us that the shift tree has yet to return. And he's getting worried because, you know, the area, there's been a lot of thunderclouds there, and the weather is it's kind of out of control, which is kind of a thing that, like, that's basically why rescue teams have been forming, because a lot of natural disasters have started happening. Okay, we are going to go all the way to the right here, though. Not quite as many missions as I would have liked. We're gonna have to return more often there because I just don't have the missions yet that I need. Okay, Link. I can do the Blast Seed, but I have to keep it. I don't think I want to do that. It's not worth it. Petrify Orbs. Oh yeah, the pacing in this game is usually quite fast, which is actually kind of nice for the speedrun. That goes for both this game and its direct sequel, Explorers of Time, Darkness, Sky. Like, the pacing of those games can get quite fast. So we get to the Silent Chasm. This is one of the shorter dungeons that we have to do from this point onward, but it's also one of the more dangerous ones. It's one of the last dungeons where there's really a lot of things that can be a problem. There's Yenma, which can attack from further away. There's Weedle, which is String Shot, Farfetch'd, Sand Attack. Gloom has Poison Power, or Poison Powder. Poliwax with Hypnosis, Spinnerax with String Shot, and so many more. But the most dangerous thing is Beedrill. It has multi-hit moves, and multi-hit moves are really broken in this game. Okay, we're actually going to use this Yanma as a literal meat shield here. Let's go this way. And move on to floor 2. So this is only 9 floors, but a lot of bad stuff can happen in those 9 floors. I have gone through this dungeon and lost 3, 4, 5 reviver seeds before. Go Kos. Gravel a rock, not the best thing, but not terrible. I'm gonna have Squirtle take care of the Weedle. Weedle is... you don't want a Weedle chasing you. The chances of it using something that's going to... like something like String Shot is just too big, and String Shot has a really long range as well. Go Rinth? Or Rinthex? Am I saying that right? I hope I'm saying that right. Okay, we get access to the move Sing here. Sing isn't going to be too useful. We have a much more powerful move in Attract. Attract is one of the 2 reasons that Skitty is completely overpowered in this game. Really gonna need some good floors though. So far it's been really bad. Okay, this could be really good. Depending on which band this is, this could actually be a really good item. Nice, perfect. So the power band is one of 2 bands that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a power band and a special band. The power band is an item that ups my damage output from physical hits like tackle, double slap, and so on by, I think, 20%. Might be more, I'm not exactly sure how much it is, but quite a decent amount. And it just really, it makes this dungeon a lot safer because there's a lot more Pokemon that I can actually one-shot now that I couldn't do before. Yo, Crete. Welcome, welcome. How are you today? We'll just go around it like that. I see. Okay, there we go, stairs. Only a few more floors, but time-wise, this is not a great dungeon so far. Ideally, I would have liked to already be done, and we still have like 2 floors left. Yeah, you can say that again, Mies. I went for a walk earlier today. It was fantastic. So we're gonna learn Water Gun here. We are gonna just immediately switch it off. Oh, that was not what I was trying to do. Our linked moves are better, which is why we just switch it off, but we're gonna need Water Gun later on. Gotta be careful of that Beedrill over there. Okay, so this is the kind of setup that I was looking for. I would have liked the bubble to hit, but that's the kind of setup where Squirtle can be really useful and why Bubble is always going to be our last move, basically. That last floor lost me a lot of time, though. I was about 2 minutes ahead going into the Silent Chasm. I'm only about a minute and a half ahead coming out of it, but I am still a minute and a half ahead of PB, so that's kind of cool. So we get to the bottom of the floor here, of the cave here, and we find Shiftry, we find Skiploom, and then Zapdos shows up. It just takes off, taking the Shiftry with it. So, yeah, that is Zapdos. And the moment that we mention it, Alakazam and his team shows up. And they tell us a little bit about Zapdos and about how dangerous Zapdos is. So Squirtle, obviously being the cheerful guy that he is, decides, you know, we're gonna go after Zapdos. No problem. We're going to pretend that we're super scared of Zapdos because that gives us less text here. Makes us a little bit faster. And in the end, it's agreed that we'll go as 2 separate rescue teams. Alakazam pretty much thinks we have no chance whatsoever to win this. We're going to go for it anyway. Yeah, should be good. Yeah, we're good. For this entire run, it's required for us to use both Skitty and Squirtle anyway. So we're going to be using those 2 as much as we can. Since we need to bring it on every mission anyway, I might as well leave it with those 2. Okay, these Petrify Orbs are really useful. Pick up those 2. That does mean that I have 1 Reviver Seed fewer, but I needed to go into town anyway, because I need to check the bulletin board here. I still don't have enough missions. That I can do, that I can do. I'm still short a Tiny Woods mission, but this is looking better at least. So the Petrify Orbs aren't actually going to come into play until quite a bit later in the game. They're mostly there to help me deal with monster houses, which is a thing that starts being a problem for the last few dungeons, mainly. They can be lifesavers sometimes, though. Okay, so this is Mount Thunder. Mount Thunder can be a scary dungeon. Most of the time, it's not too bad. But then there's moments like that. Especially when it comes to Squirtle. Squirtle is really weak against a lot of things in this dungeon, and that doesn't really help our case. Oh, my inventory is full. I was about to say, wait, why did Squirtle just ingest that? That he shouldn't have done that. Even now, I don't like the fact that he did, but it's okay. I can work with it. I'm gonna have Squirtle deal with that because I can see the stairs in the corner of my eyes there. Okay, I pressed the turn, but it ate my right input, so... That's okay. Mount Thunder, floor 4. Yeah, it's 10 floors, and this is actually the first dungeon that will have a midpoint. So there will actually be a point in this dungeon where if we were to die, we would get set back to that point. That's basically the 11th floor. And then there is Mount Thunder Peak, which is only 3 floors. Third one having the boss. We didn't get paralyzed, that's good at least. A little bit more damage than I'd like, but okay. So we get a little unlucky here with the floor layout. There's basically being on the complete other side. Seven. Worth noting, by the way, like throughout these dungeons, I'm pretty much constantly holding B. And that's basically what allows me to move as fast as I do. But it also means that I can't just stop whenever I want to. So it makes it a little bit more dangerous because it makes it more likely that I run into enemies. Basically what B does is it lets me run up until the point that I either hit a wall, a corner, a crossroad, anything of the sort really. Or an enemy, of course, because that obviously blocks my path as well. Okay, the special band. Perfect. The special band was the other band item that I was looking for. That'll be the one that we use on Squirtle since it has access to a fair few special kinds of moves, like water gun, bubble, those sort of moves. So bubble gets that same, I think it's 20% boost, just like our tackle does for Skitty. We're getting quite hungry, but there's only 2 floors left, so I'm gonna try to make it work. Might not work, but it's worth a shot. Right now I know I have less than 10 belly left. That is going to be an issue, I think. We'll probably have to eat an apple or something along those lines. Yeah, I'm getting really unlucky on the floor layout so far. You know what? So if we die, if either of our party members die, it doesn't even matter which one. But if either of our party members die, and I don't have any reviver seeds, we get sent out of the dungeon again, and we have to redo the entire dungeon. And on top of that, we lose all of our money and a good part of our items. Not necessarily all of them, but quite a number of them usually. So dying is incredibly punishing. As a result, I always try to have at least a couple of reviver seats on me. Because if anybody dies right now, and as long as I have reviver seeds, that's a thing, a reviver seed will trigger instead, and we lose that item, which is still bad, but it's definitely not the same level of bad. Okay, we get through to floor 2. I kind of want to check what kind of seed that is. That could be a reviver seed. No, it's just a blast seed. Blast seeds aren't as relevant. And so we reach the peak of Mount Thunder. This is where we're going to have our next boss fight against Zapdos. And this fight is a little bit annoying because Squirtle is going to actually move to the front. And that's kind of bad because Squirtle does not deal well with a Zapdos, but we can move him back by going to the right here instead. It differs from dungeon to dungeon, but the amount is always the same in each dungeon. So for example, Tiny Woods is always 3 floors, Mount Thunder is always 10, then 2, but it varies per dungeon. Okay, so we use Attract, and Attract is one of the main reasons why Skitty is so broken. Basically what Attract does is it essentially locks any other Pokemon, regardless of what Pokemon it is. This even goes for the final boss of the game. It locks the Pokemon in place for a few turns. Usually 2 to 3 turns. Which basically just allows me to attack for free without ever risking getting hit. We also got access to our second super overpowered move, Double Slap. Double slap next to attract is like the combination of the two makes for some of the most broken moves in the game, and it's why Skitty is so broken in this particular mystery dungeon. Anyway, we defeat Zapdos, we get Shiftry back. Alakazam's quite surprised, but Alakazam has mentioned, or mentions here, that he's noticed that there's a little bit of a thing off about us. And he tells us, "You're not a Pokemon, are you?" And turns out Alakazam's already figured out we are not a Pokemon, but we're a human instead. And he gives us the idea to go to Xatu at the top of the Great Canyon. Now, this next dungeon, probably one of my favorite dungeons in the game, just because of how good the music is there. I mean, you're not entirely wrong, Diamond. Multi-hit moves are still not terrible in Explorers, but they definitely got a big nerf. They're definitely not as overpowered anymore. Anyway, we have some dialogue here. We're gonna go to the town again, and that's mainly because we want to link moves, but also I still needed to check this. Get our last mission, so we're actually good. We're gonna delete that. That saves me one floor, which probably worth it. We're going to link our moves here. This time linking double slap in there as well. While I'm here, I'm going to link these. It's usually not ideal to do that right away, but since we already have double slap anyway, I'm just going to. Anything I need to get rid of? I can get rid of that. I'd like one extra reviver if he has it. He does. How many revivers do I have even? 4. Nice. Usually around this point in the run, I want to have at least 2. So the fact that we have 4 it's good. So this is the Great Canyon. There are a fair few enemies here that can be a problem. But overall, this dungeon is not too difficult. It's 12 floors. Most of the enemies are not too scary, but there are a few that can really become a problem. Multi-hit move enemies are a thing. Like this Doduo. Doduo has Fury Attack. That's actually a perfect example. I should have linked Squirtle's moves differently, actually. Should have put Bubble last instead of Water Gun last. There's the stairs. Actually, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I don't really need the gravel or rocks anymore at this point. So now we're just gonna hope for a bunch of quick stair floors. That's really the thing we need more than anything. We have plenty of money. We have plenty of items to work with. I could pick up a TM to try and get some more money, but it's really not needed. The wrong way again. This is not a great floor. Oh, this is a really bad floor. Look at all those Murkrows there. So many... Oh god, and we went in the wrong direction. So this is a perfect example of a really, really bad floor. These sort of floors can lose you multiple minutes sometimes, especially towards the late game. And I have to use a lot of power points to get through a lot of these extra Pokemon fights as well. And that just adds even more so to an already bad situation, because it means I probably will have to use a Max Elixir, which I prefer avoiding. Yeah, we're already down to just 2 power, so I have to do this one and then use a Max Elixir or we're gonna be out. Since I only have 3 Max Elixirs, that's not great. Now, of course, I can later on check Kecleon shops again for more Max Elixirs as well. So it's not the end of the world. It's mostly just kind of annoying. Because we're losing resources that I don't have to lose if my RNG was just a little bit better. Yeah, there goes... I should have probably used an Oron Berry at some point, but this isn't terrible. The one advantage of dying like that is it instantly restores my power points as well as my belly as well. So we're actually, like, once a Reviver Seed gets triggered like that, we're actually instantly at full health on everything. Like, everything gets restored. Getting close to the end of the dungeon, but there is still a little bit left. Yeah, Reviver Seeds have gotten a nerf as well. It's a little bit unfortunate because they were actually one of the best items in the game. They still are really good items, but not as good anymore. Seeing the stairs, there's one more floor after that. I think we're gonna lose some time on this Great Canyon compared to my PB. Yeah, we are. Actually had decent hope of saving some time in this dungeon, but fortunately we got quite a number of bad floors. Okay, still nearly 3 minutes ahead of PB though. Like, I'm actually still on a pretty solid PB pace. No, I have splits on my screen. It's cut out of the layout because there just wasn't enough room, but I have splits on my screen. So this is Xatu, and Xatu is just not going to respond at all. And we get two options here. I can either attack Xatu or I can tickle Xatu. Tickling Xatu is definitely the more funny option, but it unfortunately loses about 20 seconds, so we're going to attack instead. And then just before the Squirtle actually attacks, the Xatu starts talking. Now Xatu obviously has also already figured out that we are not a regular Pokemon, and that we're human instead. Well, he notices that something's off, not necessarily that we're human. The Xatu tells us that us turning into a human is related to all the natural disasters that have been happening. Xatu doesn't exactly know what's happening, but does know that unless something is going to be done, the unthinkable might happen. Unfortunately, Gengar happened to overhear our conversation with Xatu, and that's going to be a bit of an issue here. Okay, I'm gonna trash one of those. Try and get some extra Max Elixirs and Reviver Seeds still. Because, like, outside of that, we're actually in a good spot, but... So yeah, we're gonna just do what we can. Time to move on into town here. See a Reviver Seed, that's useful. No Max Elixir, sadly. Now, as we head into the town square, we hear some Pokemon discussing that Wishcash has been telling about a legend, the Ninetales legend. It's an old folk story, an old fairy tale. But recently it's been rumored that it may actually have happened, that it might actually not just be a fairy tale. So we're gonna go visit Wishcash and learn about this fairy tale, shall we? Oh, I should probably say yes instead of no. Okay, so Wishcash here tells us that once upon a time there was a Ninetales who was whose tail was touched by a human, and as a result, the Ninetales cursed the human for 1,000 years. But the human was protected from the curse by a Gardevoir, which shielded it from the curse, but as a result, the human once woke up, or like the human woke up as a Pokemon. Something like that. Now these characters, they may already sound a bit familiar because we've got a Pokemon, or a human turned Pokemon, and we've already seen Gardevoir. I can tell you the story is real. It is something that actually happened. Yo, Pro Dylan and Raiders, welcome to a speedrun of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Yeah, that night we have another dream. We see the silhouette, and this time we can actually make it out. And the Pokemon introduces herself as Gardevoir. Well, boy, was that that's an interesting combo, right? So we've just heard a legend of a human being cursed by a Ninetales, shielded from the curse by a Gardevoir, and then having turned into a human. So even more reason for us to believe that I am the human from the story. We're just gonna head into town, see what happens here. There's plenty more going on. All the shops are empty, and as we get to the square, we see another familiar face. And Bellsprout here tells us that the story of the Ninetales legend was really true. And this guy is about to tell us who the human is. And of course, it's Gengar. Where a Pokemon was taking advice from Xatu because he was a human turned Pokemon. And Xatu told us that the world's balance is upset and the natural disasters are related to this human. Yeah, let's just say this isn't a good thing for us. So of course he's going to reveal exactly who the human is. And says that it's us. Well, we've been thinking that we might very well be the human, so we can't very much say that that's not the case. So the entire town starts attacking us. Yeah, no worries, Mies. Thanks for dropping in, dude. Enjoy your dinner, dude. We're just gonna mash through some text here. Interesting to note, by the way, you can actually get through all of the text in this game frame perfect by just holding the B button, which is super convenient. We don't like only the actual prompts where we have to make a choice. We have to actually press something other than B. Yeah, Alakazam's team starts attacking us, but, you know, in good faith, he's gonna give us one day. Pack our stuff, leave town, prove ourselves innocent, but they will hunt us down. There won't be any mercy once we meet. By the way, for anyone in the chat right now, or watching elsewhere, if you like to see Pokemon speedrunning, I do a whole lot of these, and definitely not just Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I pretty much run every single Pokemon game out there, and that is not an understatement. If you like to see that, be sure to check out my channel as well. I try to stream like 4 days a week. Usually I make it 4 days a week, sometimes more, but... And it varies pretty much, like main series, side games, speedruns, challenge runs, all sorts of stuff. It's Pokemon, you can expect to see that around, so, you know, if you like these sort of runs, that would always be greatly appreciated. Anyway, enough of the self-plug, let's move back to the game. The next day arrives, we have a chance to go into town, but that's pretty slow, so we really don't want to. We're just gonna say all set, and we're gonna head out of town. Before we get a chance to go, all of our friends are gonna say goodbye. Diglett and Caterpie, Metapod, Jumpluff, even the Pelipper shows up. They all believe in our innocence, and they all believe that we will be able to prove that we were innocent. But until then, we're gonna go on a journey as fugitives. We go over mountains, across fields of fire. Just keep going. And eventually, we're led to this cave. Now, this is the longest cave up to this point, but most of the floors are pretty short floors. So this tends to actually be a decently quick dungeon. Yeah, we're hoping for a lot of floors like that, where we just spawn very close to, or preferably, either the tile next to or on top of the stairs. Those would be perfect. But anything where we get the stairs reasonably quick is good. I don't even care about that double kick. It deals some damage, but we get to move on. Yeah, this is why I said, like, this dungeon is 14 floors, so it's the longest so far, but most of the floors tend to be really short, and you can pretty much see that here already. So far, we've had a decent number of floors where we at least found the stairs quickly. See if we can keep that up. Yeah, my fastest Lapis Cave is actually already finished at this point. That's how fast this dungeon can go. Ooh, I want that max elixir. I mean, I mentioned earlier that I was kind of short on those, so finding a max elixir is real nice. Okay, we should save some time compared to my PB. It's actually kind of fun that I'm still on pace for a personal best. Because right now I'm nearly 4 minutes ahead of my personal best. Like, we're on pace for a sub 310. My best time is a 313, which isn't a bad time. It's not a really good time, but it's really not a bad time either. Right now I'm on pace for a 313, which is actually really solid. But we have a lot of long dungeons left, and we're far away from the end, so definitely too early to call. So we get to our next big dungeon, and this one's a lot more difficult than the last one. This is Mount Blaze. It's another 14 floor dungeon, but then with a midpoint, it's 12, then 2, and then the boss fight. Some floors can still be really fast, but there's definitely a bigger chance for longer floors here. A lot more tougher enemies here as well, so This is, however, one of the dungeons where we really get to see the benefits of having Squirtle. Just Squirtle being able to deal much better with a lot of fire types. So far, not bad. Let's keep it up like this. That's... The right one there was very likely to be a dead end. You can sometimes tell by the way that the roads are shaped that it's got a good chance of being a dead end. It's definitely not guaranteed. There's definitely a chance that that would have still led to another room. But that just looked like it was going to be a dead end, which is why I avoided it. Okay, see, this time around, though, it was not... I wouldn't have been able to tell. We just got a little unlucky, and there's a lot of Pokemon here, which really doesn't help either. Luckily, a lot of them are moving the other way. Okay. We still found the stairs. This could have been a lot worse. Ooh, was barely able to manage to do that without having to do an extra fight. As useful as extra experience may be, doing extra fights is... We pretty much just want to avoid that. They take time, and anything here that takes time is something we just don't want. Okay, so here I can avoid the battle like that. Bit of a tricky bit of movement, but it worked out. Okay, that's the midpoint. On to peak. Now the peak is only 3 floors, two regular ones and then the boss fight. Yeah, that's not going to lead anywhere. Fearow I have to deal with. Fearow has Fury Attack. And if you get an unlucky Fury Attack, can easily do like 2 Reviver Seeds worth of damage. It's definitely among the more deadly enemies in this dungeon. Okay, here we go. Time for Moltres. Over the course of this run, we'll be fighting all 3 of the legendary birds. We've already done Zapdos, Moltres is our second one, and then the next dungeon we'll have Articuno. Moltres usually isn't a very dangerous fight for us. We can use the same strat as before, where we use Attract to pretty much lock it in place, and because we now have Double Slap, and that goes for most bosses, honestly. Because we have access to Double Slap, a lot of these boss fights just usually don't even get a chance to do anything anymore. We use Attract. We let Squirtle do its thing. The advantage is that Squirtle also has Tail Whip, which instantly drops its attack already, or its defense already by 1 stage. So we get -2 defense by the time we actually get to use Double Slap. And we can just do up to like 300 damage a turn if we get really lucky. Slow on Moltres as well. This might already kill, actually. Yep, there we go. Nice. Not a bad Mount Blaze at all. That's another 20 seconds saved over PB. This could actually end up becoming a personal best. I am quite far ahead. There's a lot of dangerous dungeons left and anything can happen, and I know how that works with this, but... being over 4 minutes ahead now is quite something. Anyway, the Moltres lets us pass after we explain them what's happening. And the one thing that the Moltres does do, basically, is kind of require us, or set us on a mission to figure out what's causing these natural disasters, because it's influencing him as well. And so we go for another long walk. The view here is great, but... and then at this point, Squirtle is like, we must have shaken them all off, right? But we're gonna say that that's not the case. At best, it's just Alakazam's team left, but Alakazam's team will have made it over Mount Blaze. So we gotta keep moving. Keep moving some more. And so we do. Just going further and further north. Eventually we end up in a frozen forest. Just a barren place with nothing there, but we do see a Pokemon here, Absol. We don't get to see a lot of Absol, at least not yet. If you're a little bit familiar with Pokemon lore, though, you might know that Absol usually shows up before a disaster happens. It's a Pokemon that canonically tries to warn people of upcoming disasters. So it showing up here is kind of an omen. So we go into the Frosty Forest. This is not a this one's about as long as the last one, but the midpoint is a bit earlier, so it feels a bit shorter. That said, this one can have some very lengthy floors as well. Especially because the layouts definitely aren't as easy as they were in the previous dungeon. Sometimes they are. Sometimes we can still get a really good layout for us. Sometimes the game can just decide not to give us anything useful, and it's gonna be a pain. So that nose pass right there, that's just a Ditto. And the problem with Ditto is it won't actually have any power points, so it just starts to struggle and can't really do anything towards us. They're among the easiest Pokemon for us to beat, because after a few turns they'll just die. Getting a little bit unlucky with the floor so far. Okay, so this is actually a little bit of text where I just have to mash. This always shows up after a few floors. We just mash A and B, and we can move on. Now it is worth noting that especially towards the top, there's a very decent chance that Reviver Seeds will spawn. It's pretty common for me to find a Reviver Seed around there. So we will actually be checking pretty much every seed to see if we can find any. In the Manipulated run, we actually manipulate several on those floor. I think we get like 2, I want to say. Floor 7, there's 3 more floors we have to get through. So far this is not going well. The fact that we're already getting hungry kind of shows how poorly this dungeon's going up to this point. That doesn't have to mean anything. We could just get a few stair floors and get a very quick ending after all, but not looking good at least. I really don't want to use an apple because this is the last floor. Okay, yeah, we didn't have to. It's a good thing I didn't use it. That's very likely to be a dead end. Good thing we moved to the other side or we would have taken even longer to find the stairs. Let Squirtle take care of that, because I really do need to conserve a little bit of power points, because we do need enough for the boss fight. Frosty Forest does have a boss. This is where we're going to fight Articuno. Especially being infatuated, we're just gonna swap to Squirtle. Boy, that was a bad floor. Okay, one more. Okay, this is a really bad Frosty Forest. I'm gonna lose some time here. PB is definitely still on the table, but so, as we get to the top, we hear a voice saying that we're not allowed to pass, then starts to snow, and Articuno shows up. Now, Articuno can actually be dangerous because it has a move that hits the entire room, and it has agility. Agility makes it move twice in a single turn. And if it does that into Powder Snow, then we're very likely just dead. So yeah, I lost over a full minute compared to my personal best on that Frosty Forest. About 3 minutes ahead right now. So and that's the thing with speedrunning in general, like we oftentimes try to go for a new personal best. See if we can beat the game just that little bit faster. It's nice to have a run, especially a no reset run like this, be 3 minutes ahead. Even just 3 minutes at this point in the game. But yeah, as we beat Articuno and try to explain what's going on, Articuno doesn't actually believe us and starts to attack again. Just before he gets a chance though, Absol gets in the way and tells us that what we say is actually true. And well, Absol is going to help us try and prevent the worst from happening. Outside of Magnemite, this is the only team member that we are required to get in our party. And even more so, this is the only extra team member that we have to take in a part of a dungeon. We don't actually have to take it for most of Mount Freeze, so we're gonna tell it to just stand by as we start Mount Freeze. But in the Mount Freeze Peak, the second half of the dungeon, we have to use it. As we walk further north, we start getting another one of those visions. Squirtle and Absol actually won't be able to hear it, but this is where we get to meet Gardevoir once again. And Gardevoir tells us that a little further up ahead, at a pass, at the very top, we go through a pass, and at the very, very top of Mount Freeze, that's where Gardevoir lives. Or sorry, Ninetales lives. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to climb this mountain, meet up with Ninetales. Okay, and so we go. Mount Freeze. I forgot to take off Absol. The menu option for it is relatively short. You only have a little bit of time to do so. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna deal with it. You kind of don't really have a choice right now. While you're outside of the dungeon, you can actually take Absol off. And then he'll only rejoin for the peak. Unfortunately, I forgot to. Now, on a perfect dungeon, that wouldn't actually matter much. If we get a really good dungeon, it won't actually make a difference. It even goes so far as to say that in a perfect situation, you wouldn't even... Okay, actually... No. I'm trying to get rid of Bite. Thinking that maybe we should learn it, but... It would teach it over all of my linked moves, so Squirtle would become essentially completely useless. That was quite unlucky. I'm pretty much picking all the wrong paths, aren't I? Well, that's just how it goes sometimes. Yeah, it's 15 floors and then the peak, so this is definitely among the longer dungeons. I think it's I think it's the longest that we have done so far, and it's like the third or fourth longest in the entire run. Okay, floor 9. The seeds that spawn on these floors have definitely a non-zero chance of being reviver seeds, so they're usually worth to check. Because getting one extra reviver can save a lot of time sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it saves quite a bit. It means I can skip 1 or 2 Keck Shop visits. That's like instantly like half a minute to a minute there. Yeah, this is the biggest downside of bringing Absol along. He's going to learn, or he's going to level up. That loses some time. Oh well. We're almost at peak, so... That's not what I meant to do. Oh well. I don't have a lot of moves left with Skitty, but we're almost at the midpoint. So for the sake of saving an elixir, I'm gonna attempt to not attack much. Okay, this is actually great. That's a really good timing for a stair floor. So far, so good. Oh boy. That's a lot of Glalie. I was about to say, this is a really good peak, and then that happened. That peak almost made me save time on Mount Freeze. Like, honestly, if that Mount Freeze hadn't had that ending, like that last floor, if that last floor had been on par with the other 3 before it, I would have saved some time. I played about even there. I lost 5 seconds compared to my personal best. So, still not bad. Still nearly 3 minutes ahead. So we get as we reach the top, Alakazam actually manages to catch up with us. And just as we start our battle, Ninetales shows up. And Ninetales tells us that we are not, in fact, the human who got cursed. Or Skitty, or our main protagonist is not the Pokemon, or not the human from the legend. So then Squirtle gets all happy, because now it's proven that we were innocent after all. The cause of the natural disasters is elsewhere, and well, we don't have we're not gonna have to deal with that anymore. And right as we start to question, but why then did we turn into a Pokemon? The ground starts to shake like crazy, and it turns out that Groudon has awoken. So Groudon is something else. It's a really, really powerful Pokemon. We really don't want to deal with that. So Alakazam and his team are going to set out to deal with Groudon, and we're gonna get a few days off here. This is where we get a little bit of a break. And during this break, we're going to get that remodel of our base that we were talking about. Now, the thing with my personal best is this is the part where I have the most time to lose, honestly. Because my personal best got something that we call double chestnut. And I'm going to need to explain this a little bit. It is possible in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team to randomly save about 3 to 5 minutes on average if you get a really lucky floor 9 in the next major dungeon, Uproar Forest. Because we need to get a total of 3 chestnuts. That's an item that we're going to get over the course of the game. Now, 1 we're going to get for free as a mission reward. And then the other 2 we have to find on floor 9 of that dungeon. That's the only place where they spawn. And we need 3 in order to progress the game. Every once in a while, you can get lucky and 2 spawn on that floor. This doesn't happen very often. And maybe like 1 every 8 to 10 runs. Like, it's really not that common. But if it happens, you don't have to re-enter the dungeon. Almost always 1 will spawn. Sometimes if you get really unlucky, none spawn. I've had that happen once in a run. That is really painful if that happens. Because then you can just lose up to 10 minutes on that dungeon alone. And But yeah, if you get really lucky, you get 2 on that floor and you save. A good estimate is 3 to 5 minutes. So we're gonna attempt to get that. My personal best time has that 3-minute time save. So there's a good chance that we actually lose time on Uproar Forest. But we'll have to see. But first things first, we're gonna go to Thunderwave Cave. Now, there is another thing. After we do these missions, looking as to why I'm already losing time to my personal best, or my best ever Thunderwave Cave. I don't know, it doesn't matter. After this mission, we're gonna get one of my favorite characters in this game, a Wobbuffet, and he's going to be saluting a lot. Now, usually in my own streams, my chat will be spamming the corresponding emote for it. Wait. Oh, I just need to find an apple. Okay. Now, if you would want to do that, what I would recommend you doing, because you can actually unlock this emote for free. If you would be interested in getting yourself that saluting Wobbuffet for this run, go to my stream, just drop a follow, and you can unlock it using the channel points you get from following. That'll get you a free 1 day, I think it is, usage of that emote. Figured I'd point it out. I don't expect anyone to, but if you're interested in joining in on that, that is your way of joining in without it ever costing you anything. That wasn't a great Thunderwave Cave. We actually lost quite a bit of time. Or you just do that. That's another option. You could also just type O and then 7. But you know, I figured I'd point it out at least. Because you know, you can get the emote for free that way. Okay, that mission's done. So I'm 2.5 minutes ahead going into Uproar Forest. I am not. I would really like to have been more ahead. But so be it. We get another dream here, and then Gardevoir shows up, and this time we actually kind of know what's happening. So Gardevoir tells us that he is an ancient of spirits. It was the Gardevoir, like the Gardevoir here is in fact the Gardevoir of legend, and since it is basically my job to save the world, this Gardevoir is here to kind of guide us. Kind of a spirit guide. Thank you, Shido. Appreciate it. Yeah, before Gardevoir really gets a chance to tell us that much, an earthquake happens, we wake up, and well, things are just gonna move on. Now, Gardevoir does tell us that we have a role to perform here. We don't know what that means yet, but we're gonna find out soon enough. Now, as we walk out here, we see Wynot and Wobbuffet show up, and the Wobbuffet's just like, Wobbuffet! Wobbuffet! And he's gonna do that a bunch, and it's so cute, and I love him for it. I'm gonna just type that myself as well. Yo, Red Sam, thanks for the good luck. Yeah, they asked us to check out the bulletin board. I'd quickly check. Trash that. I'm gonna trash that. Actually, let me buy a huge apple. There are going to be places where that's useful. I can get rid of a regular apple instead. Yeah, the mission that we need to unlock here is punish bad monkeys. Wow, perfect. Wow, perfect. Wow, perfect. I love that Wobbuffet so much, dude. Like, that's literally the only thing he ever does, is he salutes and then says his name, and it's amazing. Yeah, once we've accepted that mission, we can now go into Uproar Forest. This is a 10-floor dungeon. Floor 9 is going to be very important for us. If we get double chestnut, PB is looking realistic. My PB doesn't actually have a great endgame. Not a bad endgame, but definitely not a great endgame. If I want to get a new personal best, this is the dungeon that can make or break it. As it sadly often does. Now there's going to be a random weather effect on on 2 of the floors. So that's another thing. Now some weather effects are fine, some are really bad. Or 6. Okay, so this is where we get the first bad one. Hail is one of the worst ones to get. Because every so often we'll stop because of the hail animation, and that actually loses quite a bit of time. Hail and sandstorm are the 2 worst ones. And here you get to see a prime example of why this is one of the worst ones. Spending too long on that floor would actually even kill me, because I don't heal fast enough. We're almost at the end. Next floor is is where the moment of truth is gonna happen, where we're gonna see if we're gonna get double chestnut, single chestnut, or 0 chestnut. Okay, this is the moment of truth. See what we get. That's not a good start. This is really bad right now. I still haven't seen any. There's still a few more rooms to check, but at this point having 0 is not a good sign. Okay, it's a 1 chestnut. That's better than a 0 chestnut by a lot, but that's not great. That means I'm going to lose big time here. So yeah, we get back to the town and we get a chestnut as a reward. That's all we're gonna get for punishing the bad mankeys. And then the mankeys show up and they're going to be attacking our base. Or attacking us, because they're not gonna stand for that. Then they notice we have a peeled chestnut. They really like peeled chestnuts. Problem is they're all spiky, and if they have to peel them themselves, it hurts their hands and they get all angry, and you know, that's bad. So we're gonna give them the peeled chestnut. So what we decide, or what we get to, is that they're gonna decide, okay, you know what? Or we're gonna decide, okay, you know what? We're gonna give them the chestnut. In return, they're going to help us with reconstruction of our base. You know, that same thing that we talked about quite some time ago? Yeah, let's actually do that. And so the work on the base is going to begin. But then a few days into doing this, well, the mankeys, they're not quite gonna agree. Hay isn't enough for them, and they're gonna demand more peeled chestnuts. Now this is where we need to give them 2 more, and unfortunately we don't have 2 more, we only have 1. So we're going to give them the 1, and then I'm going to go back into the dungeon and we're going to go look for another one. Now on average, having to redo the dungeon, like I said, takes 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes more. Sometimes less. I've seen it go for less, but 3 to 5 minutes is pretty average. So here we go. Unfortunately, we can only get them on floor 9. We're gonna hope for a lot of stair floors right now. It's already looking like we're gonna be behind on PB by a bit coming out of this dungeon. Even with a God tier dungeon, that's not unlikely. Oh, and we get hail again. That's just great. Like I said before, hail and sandstorm, 2 worst kinds of weather we can get. Oh, this is turning out to be really bad. That's a dead end. We have to go this way. Okay, there's the stairs. I honestly don't even care. Okay, like I have to go this way. See if we can get any chestnuts at all. Yeah, I'm about to... Okay, fog is fine as our second weather effect. So my timer is about to turn blue. We haven't really seen that at all this run. There's only been a very brief moment at the start, but the timer turning blue means I'm behind on my personal best. The thing we don't want to see. Oh wait, I already see where we need to go. About to say, wait, I've pretty much had every floor now. Or every room now, but we missed the center part. What was that movement? Can I take a shortcut through that? I can. That still isn't enough. Okay, floor 9. It's not exactly what those orbs were meant for, but... Actually... Okay, so we're about 2 minutes behind right now because of that. I went from about 2.5 ahead to 2 behind. So 4.5 minutes, which is a little bit worse than average, but it's still within a pretty average range. So now the base is going to be finished, and we've got another transition day coming up. I'm debating whether or not I should check the shops coming up. Because I've actually lost a fair few resources. Kind of a tricky situation that we're in right now. Anyway, we're gonna just move out. We're gonna accept this last mission. Yeah, I'm gonna check the shop. Usually I wouldn't about now, but... Kinda needed those. Oh, he doesn't know. Okay, whatever. Oh, I can trash that. I was hoping that there might have been a Petrify Orb since we used one. Mount Steel. So this is where we're going to do our our 4 Mount Steel missions. Okay, good. So yeah, at this point, we just have to, again, complete some missions in order to progress the story. Unfortunately, this time we need quite a bit more. We need 4 missions first, and then another 2 after another cutscene. We're going to do the 4 missions here. On floors 3, and then 5, 6, 7. And then once we're done with that, we're going to do 2 more in Tiny Woods. Seems we're getting a little bit unlucky though. Lots of random encounters that are trying to get to me. Sheesh, what's with all these random encounters today? So many! That's a little bit unlucky because all of those random encounters do waste quite a bit of time as well. Just too low a damage roll to one-hit knockout. Switcher Orb isn't a great one. At least here we found the stairs quickly. I just need to find my target. Of course, I find the stairs first try, and then I don't actually find the Pokemon I'm supposed to be finding until the very last possible room. That's okay. We're gonna get him out. It's gonna continue. Two more missions to do. One on this floor, and then one on the next. Okay, this is a quick one at least. Last mission. Okay, we're out of Mount Steel. We're not quite in the clear yet. We still have 2 more missions to do, but at least that part's done. So the thing with those max elixirs is if I end up being on the low end going into Sky Tower, or probably even just in general going into Sky Tower, I'm going to get those out and use them. Unfortunately, we still have a few more missions to do. Because as we wake up on the next day, another earthquake happens. Alakazam's team has yet to return. And by this point, we kind of know something's up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back in, or we're gonna go into town, and we're gonna get a cutscene where they're gonna decide a new rescue team that's going to try and take on this this threat. Shiftry has called everyone together to form a new rescue team. A rescue team to rescue even Alakazam's theme. Now, initially we want to actually try and go for it, but we're gonna get stopped by Lombre. There's better Pokemon here, or at least so he thinks. Squirtle's eager to jump on it, but he figures there's plenty of tougher Pokemon out there. And so Blastoise is the first one to say that he'll go, the leader of Team Roughneck. And then Octillery, Team Constrictor's leader. And then lastly, the Golem. I don't remember what team he's from, but also some team's leader. And the three of them together are going to... they're gonna go to face off against this Groudon. We're gonna do a quick visit here in Tiny Woods. 2 missions, floors 2 and 3. And lastly, floor 3. Okay, so I need to make up 2 minutes on Magma Cavern plus Sky Tower. If I want a little over 2 minutes, and then it would still be a PB. I've got a few Reviver Seeds in storage, which I'm going to pick out before heading to Sky Tower, I think. I think we have enough heading into Magma Cavern. But yeah, as we wake up the next day, there's another earthquake, and immediately Squirtle calls us into the town square. See, those 3 Pokemon that we'd send into Magma Cavern, yeah, they didn't even get to Groudon. That place is something else. Yeah, Gengar starts to basically scare everyone. And it's at that point that Squirtle's like, you know what? We'll do it. Let's go. Yeah, with that, Gengar basically doesn't have anything left to say. And it's decided that Squirtle and Skitty are going to go. And well, the others, they're, you know, they're not giving up either. If we all pull together, there's gotta be a way. Everybody cheers, and with that, everybody's gonna head to Magma Cavern, try and rescue Alakazam's team. We're going to tell Squirtle immediately that we're ready to go because we have plenty of stuff to work with. And that's going to trigger our next night. Now, I will say before we head into Magma Cavern is probably... Or it's easily the second longest dungeon in the game. And it's probably also the second most dangerous. Like, these last two dungeons, we can very easily die here. It's also why we have so many reviver seats with us. Things can go or can turn very ugly very quickly. Just a lot of enemies that can be a problem. Hunger is also going to be a problem in Magma Cavern. There's a lot of big floors, and there's not a lot of food items. We have 5 revivers though, so we should be okay. Now, during the dream that night, Gardevoir does tell us that our quest is coming close to an end. But we're not going to worry about that now. It's time for us to head into Magma Cavern. See if we can beat Groudon. Immediately you can see that these floors tend to be quite big. So stair floors, especially in this dungeon, stair floors mean a lot. And anti-stair floors can waste a lot of time as well, so really just hoping for the best. Pretty sure my PB doesn't have a great end game, so it's not impossible for me to save some time, still make this a personal best. But time will tell. I'm taking those food items because I don't have that many apples to work with. I brought 1 huge and 3 regulars, I think. Which should be enough, but this way we might be able to save some so I don't have to worry about buying any for Sky Tower. Okay, so this is the first time that we're going to see the effects of poison. Poison in this game is not fun. We're gonna not be able to heal anymore. And we take 4 damage every couple of steps. Until our health reaches 0, at which point we just have a problem. That's probably gonna lose me a reviver. I actually survived, so I can eat an Oran berry. Not a great start to this dungeon, that's for sure. Decent floor. Now the burned effect is kind of similar to poison, except I can still heal as I walk. So it's kind of similar, but it's not nearly as bad. Okay, it's the Maw while. Floor 9. I like the fact that I can see the stairs. That is not good. Okay, I need to use a max elixir, because I'm pretty much out. I couldn't do any more attacks, so we kind of had to. I could have probably prevented having to use that reviver, but it might not be the worst thing in the world. Like, I've got spare revivers in my in the Kangaskhan storage, so just kind of the question whether we'll end up having to use them or not. Floor 13. We're making pretty good progress so far. Still a lot of dungeon left, but up to this point, definitely not the worst magma cavern I've ever seen. Now that I've said that, it's going to make a turn for the worse, obviously, because that's just how luck works, right? But Up to this point, could have been a lot worse. I was about to say, that's a lot of misses. Surprised we actually managed to kill despite missing, I think, 4 times? Yeah, because it would take 2 hits to kill, and we still killed, so 4 times. Okay, so this is an annoying thing about the Grimers. They have an ability called Stench, which essentially means that I have to move away from them, like there's nothing else I can do. I wouldn't be able to attack them anymore for just a few turns. I can still attack other things and I can still move, but still a very annoying ability to have to deal with. Okay, so this is just going to be an anti-stair floor. Never great to get anti-stair floors, but I'm not mad. We've got quite a few stair floors as well, so it was bound to happen that we would get one eventually. Ow. We're almost at the midpoint. I don't want to see if I can get to the midpoint without having to use another max elixir, just so I can save one for later. Okay, we made it to the midpoint. Now, the second part of this dungeon is actually the shortest of any second half. Pit here is only 1 floor, and then there's a dummy floor, and then the boss fight. It's 3 floors like many others, but the second of those 3 floors doesn't actually do anything. Okay, moving on. So we get a very short cutscene here, and then we're going to go for the boss fight. I should be able to save... Yeah, I should be saving some time here. I don't know how much exactly, but I should be able to save some time. I might be ahead again of PB after this. That would be really exciting. If we end up going or coming out of this ahead, then it's gonna come down to the last dungeon, and this might actually be a personal record. That would be pretty hype. But I don't want to get my hopes up too much because I know what Sky Tower can be like. Last time I ran this was for an event, and we died on like floor 20 something in Sky Tower due to a monster house. Managed to lose 7 reviver seeds in one floor. Okay, here we go. This is Groudon. So this fight isn't too difficult. Just same strat as with the others. We attract, then we start using other moves. Not quite gonna be enough to kill. Nice, okay. I am 10 seconds ahead of my personal record coming out of Groudon. That's kind of silly. Go Uni. So yeah, next stop is going to be A, please don't use my real name. B, that's pretty alright, actually. I'm pretty good. We get back to Pokemon Square, and with that, it is time for us to do some... well, we're not actually going to do any shopping. I'm just going to drop some stuff at Kangaskhan and pick up some stuff at Kangaskhan, and that should just about do it for Sky Tower. We are going to need a good Sky Tower. If this becomes a good Sky Tower, I may get a personal record. That would be pretty hype. Also, yeah, I'm just gonna stick to English either way. I mean, I know some of the people from my community are watching as well, and I know a decent number of them don't speak Dutch, so, you know. So we find out here that the reason that the world's balance is, like, gone is because of this meteorite that's crashing towards the world. If that meteorite crashes into the world, that would pretty much, you know, be the end of time. We also learn of a Pokemon that can stop it, Rayquaza. And combining Alakazam and Zatu's powers, they can teleport us to the Sky Tower, so we can talk to Rayquaza and ask him to stop the disaster from happening. Okay, so this is, we're going to store some items. That should be enough. Out some items. I'm bringing those Graveler rocks only for one reason. There are Shedinjas in this next dungeon, and having Graveler rocks for Shedinja really helps. Now, the dream that night is a little bit different, because Gengar, at the day that before the world is going to end, decides it's a good idea that the one hope he has of surviving is to tire us out with nightmares. That's just Gengar's logic. He hates us so much, apparently, that he would rather die and you know, cause us to be exhausted than, you know, saving the world and settling this some other way afterwards. So God of War here tells us that this stopping this meteorite, that's our role. That's why we became a Pokemon. That's what we're gonna have to do. As we go into the last dungeon, I will say again, you know, if you like seeing these sort of Pokemon speedruns, I stream 4 to 5 days a week, or at least that's what I usually aim for over on my channel. So, you know, if you like seeing these sort of runs, be sure to hop over there, drop a follow, and you'll see a lot more Pokemon sooner or later, because there's a lot of Pokemon there. And not just side games, not just Mystery Dungeon, just about every Pokemon. With that said, we're gonna go into the final dungeon. It's time for Sky Tower. Nice. Infects, nice. Yeah, I speedrun all but like 10. And those 10 I'm going to be learning within the next 2 months. Because every year we have there's a race of every single Pokemon game back to back. This year will be the 3rd year running. Essentially in the span of a few weeks we try to beat 62 Pokemon games. It's quite a challenge. Last year we only did 37 games, and it took us about 2 weeks to complete all of them. So that race is in June. I'm still preparing for that. I've got a few more games to learn. Last year I came second with, I think it was 4 hours apart between me and the winner. Pretty close. Hey, Sky Tower. So this is the longest dungeon. There's 25 floors before the midpoint, and then 8 floors peak, and then the 9th is the boss. Which game's the hardest? Pinball. Pinball is easily the one that I struggle with the most. And then I think main series, the hardest is probably Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Those are incredibly difficult as well, especially if you want to do them optimally. Go camping. Okay. Pinball is mostly, it has a really high skill ceiling, especially for speedrunning it. Like, the world record is like 4 minutes, and it's insane to watch. Pretty much everybody competing in this year's series race so far has mentioned that that's the game that they struggle with the most, myself included. Hard Gold isn't so much a very RNG heavy game, but almost the entire game is RNG manipulated. So for a very big part of the game, one mistake means you just have to start over. Or at best, loses you a few minutes. Not as big as with most esports. speedrunning is definitely a bit of a niche. I think the biggest that's ever happened within speedrunning is what we had with Break the Record a few months ago, where I think Cheese ended up going home with like, I want to say 10k? Something along those lines. But it's definitely a bit more of a niche esports. That said though, at least for me, I'm not in it for the money. I just enjoy doing this. That's also the thing, right? At the end of the day, just play because it's fun. And it's really interesting to be able to challenge myself again with certain games. So far, this hasn't been a great Sky Tower. Again, I need a really good Sky Tower, and then this could actually end up being a personal record. I really need more stair floors though. We're still mainly looking for floors where we just spawn really close to the stairs. We're gonna need a few of those very quickly now. The second half of this dungeon tends to be really slow. So, all the more reason for us to make sure that we do this as well as we can in the first half. I only play RPGs, basically. I speedrun more than just Pokemon, that part I can say, but almost everything I speedrun is still RPGs. So just like before, hail is a really bad weather for us to get. Contrary to last time though, this time it happens on set floors. I need to pick up those gummies, I need food items. If I keep skipping all the food items, I'm gonna run out of apples, because I only have one huge apple left. Okay, 15. Okay, stair floor. On a hill floor too, so that's like double good. Getting a stair floor on the hill floors is probably the best thing. That actually saves quite a bit of time. Yeah, monster houses are they're essentially pure RNG, but we can kind of recognize it. When it's a floor that has a lot of items in it, that usually means that it's more likely to be a monster house. That said, it is still pure RNG. We're just gonna hope not to get it. I got I had 2 backup items for this run for monster houses. We've already had to use both of them by this point. So if we get another monster house, we're in trouble. Hey, Jeroen. Oh, this is bad. This Dusclops is causing some trouble here. Neat, one of the most dangerous Pokemon in this game. Venomoth. Oh, come on. So that, what he did right there is Silverwind. Silverwind is really bad news for us. We may die here. Okay, how many revivers do I have left? 1. Okay, this is bad. This is why I've been collecting those reviver seeds all run. This is how that can go sometimes. I wish I could say this was a rare thing, but it's not. Favorite game track? Great Canyon. The Great Canyon theme. Then Fugitives, then Sky Tower. No, Venomoth, go away. Do not want to see even more Venomoths here. We're almost at the midpoint. There we go. Okay, we've made it to this point at least. So there's 8 floors. Don't have a lot of time for those 8 floors, sadly. Like, essentially, I'm gonna need to finish those 8 floors in about 6 minutes. That's definitely possible. But for a personal record to happen, I really need good floors here. Please don't do anything bad. There goes my last reviver. So we are completely out of safety items right now. What's my favorite Pokemon? Bellsprout. Bellsprout's kind of become the mascot of my stream. Bit of an odd pick, but... The Salamence? Okay, I think I'm gonna play it safe here. PB isn't very likely anymore at this point, so least try to just finish the game. Like, if I can make it to the boss, I'm pretty sure I can finish. But I would still need to be able to make it to the boss. Can I get a few more stairs like that? All the stairs there. Just a few more. We're almost there. The worst part is this is very close to a personal record too. It is still possible. Like, if I get 2 stair floors after this, and this floor doesn't go super poorly, then it's definitely... and we're basically in there. That thought is both really cool and really terrifying. Although this floor isn't going well at all. Flygon isn't the worst. Maybe. Yeah, that thing right now is absolutely terrifying. No! That's bad. Okay. Stomp is probably the best thing he could have done there. This might be a personal record. It's super close to it. We still have to finish the final boss though. So we made it through Sky Tower. This right here is where we fight Rayquaza. I don't remember if my PB split Sky Tower at beating the boss or at destroying the comet. It's either or. If we destroy the comet before 840, I know for a fact, like 30840, I know for a fact that it's PB. I think we do. I think this might actually be a personal best. I'm pretty sure my personal best splits on destroying the comet, though, so I don't actually know how big of a personal best this is going to be. It's probably going to be like a minute or so, but that's still pretty cool. I wasn't expecting to get a new personal record today. Yeah, because like I said, if it destroys it before 840, it's a PB. Because I think my PB splits here, which would mean it's a PB by about a minute. We're not done yet though. That was the last dungeon. We are actually going to end this run as we fade into the credits, the white flash before the credits. So there's a few minutes of cutscenes here that we just have to sit through. Now, these cutscenes aren't actually much of an issue because we just have to hold B for them. There's virtually no actual prompts that we have to worry about. But yeah, that is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, beaten without RNG manipulation or Wondermail as fast as we can. Still, it wasn't a great run, honestly. There were a lot of dungeons that were kind of meh, but overall, pretty happy with how that went. Like I said, if you like Pokemon speedrunning, and it goes for both main series and side games, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd be so kind to check out my channel and drop a follow there. I stream 4 to 5 days a week. Pretty much almost always Pokemon. Sometimes we do some other RPGs, but most of the time Pokemon. Speedrun, mostly speedruns, sometimes challenge runs, very regularly challenge speedruns. We did, for example, Pokemon Crystal without using centers or marts the other day, like things like that as a speedrun. That's still pretty cool. So, yeah, and I hope you guys enjoyed Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Huge thank you to the people behind Kaiser for allowing me to stream on their channel for once. It's been a fun experience. With that, it's almost time. We still have, like I said, we still have a little bit of cutscene left here. Because our mission has ended. That means we're gonna go back into the human world. And there we go. In case anyone was wondering, my personal best is 3:13.28. Pretty confident this is faster. Question's just how much faster. Squirtle's all heartbroken here. Yeah, I definitely split in PB on destroying the meteorite. Which means this should be PB by about a minute. On. There we go. 3:12:23. PB by 1 minute and 5 seconds. That's a new personal record for me. Doesn't actually move me up on the leaderboard, but that's still kind of fun. That Sky Tower, though, that wasn't a great Sky Tower or a great. We had some pretty bad places, but overall, I can be happy with getting a personal best at an event like this, or for a run like this. That was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I don't have time to keep streaming. Normally I would, but there's, I got business in like an hour. Got some meetings I need to attend. That's actually why I streamed relatively early. It's kind of how things worked out. Again, thank you everybody from the Kaiser channel for allowing me to stream on their channel. It's been a blast today. I hope you guys enjoyed Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Like I said, if you want to see more Pokemon, be sure to head over to my channel, and there will be plenty more very soon. And I think that is it for me for today. Have a nice evening, everybody. And hopefully I'll be back one day.